Tell me about this gentleman here.
That is Jean Renoir, looking like a Russian
Yes.
oligarch. He was sort of my father. In Hollywood, he was my father very much. He and Isherwood were my two fathers. And here's Nureyev.
Was it easy to get on with Nureyev?
Oh, yes. He was really the sweetest friend in the world. He missed his Russia, his family, his mother. He, of course, had moments of exaggeration and drama, but he wanted perfection. He was hard-working as anyone ever was. He couldn't understand what was happening to him. He went to his doctor and said, "Doctor, I don't know what's the matter with me. I'm so tired all the time." And the doctor said, "Rudolph, you have AIDS." He couldn't understand.
No.
He was hungry for life. After having danced, after we had supper, after we had talked and giggled and so on, he was going to night films to educate himself on English language and English style. He was a voracious learner. I adored him.
Leslie, do you mind me asking, what were your experiences of marriage? Did marriage agree with you?
Well, I was very Catholic. I was brought up very properly Catholic. So I did believe in marriage. And my first marriage was with somebody whose father was a remarkable man who had started Spam and the great pork industry. And he, during First World War, had married a French girl. So I really married his mother, a French woman. I felt at home. And my first marriage crashed when I discovered I was married to the son, not to the mother. And she was great fun, a bit too much, perhaps. But there was no communication between Geordie and I. And I discovered that he was hooked on drugs. Yeah, there was no communication. And I couldn't understand why. I didn't know anything about drugs. I didn't know anything about life. You're a dancer, you're showing yourself, you know. But you can be as naive as a little girl. My second is Peter Hall, and that was a great marriage. Only the trouble is Peter had his vision of his career, and it didn't include me. There was a world of difference in Peter's vision of what a wife should be, like in the kitchen, and that's it.
Literally you in the kitchen?
Yes, and in those days, that's the way the British saw women. I remember being pregnant and needing food quickly, and Peter said, "Well, there's only a pub." I said, "What's wrong with a pub? Let's go in, have a sandwich." And he said, "A woman can't get in a pub." And we forced our way, and I saw all the men turning around and looking, a woman in a pub. I mean, you know, the days were very, very different. Foreigners, I remember trying to rent a house when Peter was showing a play at Brighton, and looking for a house. I had a nanny for my baby, a cook, and a secretary. And the lady who received us in the little house for rent asked us, "Your nanny is French?" And your cook, she's German. And your secretary, she's French. I'm afraid the house is not for rent.
It's amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing.
And that was in the 60s.
Who were your very favourite people that you came across professionally?
Christopher Isherwood, Jean Renoir. I was lucky. I really had fabulous people around me. I have a picture of René Clair, divine director for comedy. I married a witch. It happened tomorrow. That sort of wonderful, fast comedy, witty, about the insanity of the world.
Now, look here, Jennifer.
I don't like the tone of your voice.
Well, I swallowed some smoke last night, and I've just swallowed some more now. But that's not going to stop me from...
Wally wants a drink of water. Nice, cool water.
Thank you. Now, all I have to say
Drink
is...
it, Wally. And then I'll be glad to hear anything you have to say. You'll find out that no one named Wooly is able to stay away from me.
Oh!
It's just divine fluff, like most of the films of that period before the Second World War. Absolutely delicious, wit, fast, modest, disciplined. And I'll say it again, disciplined. And Christopher Isherwood was the center point of where everybody from Europe landed for dinner, talked, and found comfort, friendship, wit, charm.
This is Isherwood as quite a young man. When do you think this was taken?
When he was in Berlin, I think, after Oxford, where he was sent down because he wrote his exams in Latin, if you please. I mean, I think he should have been given a gold medal for that.
So this is about the time that he was writing Mr. Norris Changes Trains.
Exactly, yes.
Brian Forbes.
Brian Forbes was wonderful. The best of British, knowing everything about acting, everything about directing, everything about writing. Having been an actor since Yate Hall and too short to make it as a star. He was just about my size. Like Dickie at Canberra, same, both quite short, and they started making films together. Wonderful pair. And I loved British films. I loved the wit, even though at that time films had suddenly slowed down. It was the fault of the actor studio. You had to feel things profoundly before you could emote it. And boy, did they take time. They waited for it to come up, you know.
A few days ago in Kensington, you were walking down the street and you bumped into someone else from Hollywood.
Dustin Hoffman. I was walking home after dinner with a couple of friends. We were crossing this group, one man with white hair and two women. And he said, "Wait, I think you would like to meet this lady. It's Leslie Caron." He went absolutely insane, said, "Oh my God, I was so in love with you." And I said, "Oh, I never missed any of your films. I see your name, I rush and go and see it, and it's always good, you're fabulous." And he said, "Let's make a film together, you see us." He with white hair, me too. Anyway, he's a darling. Dustin, what an actor.
Yes. Leslie, has it been a good life?
Oh yes, a grand life. It's very hard sometimes. It costs a lot. It's like being a violinist or ice skater or pianist. Rehearsal, 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 thinking, practicing. But who has that same luck of meeting the great people that I met? Meeting Christopher, meeting Renoir, and hearing the family stories of Jean Renoir telling me about Auguste and his mother. Absolutely fabulous. And it was like my home in Hollywood. I was able to ring the doorbell any day of the week, and I'd be welcomed in with a slice of salami and a glass of, not a glass, a silver goblet, if you please, always, for white wine.
I've heard about your life, I've heard about Hollywood firsthand, and it has been sensational.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael.